All right, hey guys, welcome to the show. Today I'm joined by Dylan and Ian from Saber. It's great to have you on, guys. Thanks so much for joining.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
Yeah, no problem. So, before we get too deep into everything, do you mind just giving us a quick background story on yourselves, as well as, why did you build Saber and kind of what's your mission in crypto?
Yeah, for sure. So I got into crypto back in 2017. So I was living in Austin at the time, and Ian, my brother, he actually had gotten into crypto first. So I think he got in back in like 2014, doing random like Dogecoin mining and stuff. And then kind of how he got me into it was like in 2017 when there's kind of all this buzz about like ICOs and sort of like the early like Ethereum applications. He basically took me to go to these like meetups in Austin. And yeah, I kind of just like felt enthralled by learning about all the different like things in the ecosystem. Like I think like Bitcoin's cool, but the idea of like basically programming these like applications that can actually like, live in the decentralized web was really fascinating to me. And so yeah, from there, me and Ian worked previously on a company called Abacus that was doing tokenized securities. After that, I ended up leaving to work as a product manager at OKX, and then also had another job at a crypto or sorry, a fintech startup. And yeah, kind of my introduction to Solana came from actually just working part time on some things. So yeah, like I'm the kind of person that likes to like learn about new things a lot. And Ian actually introduced me to Solana, and to kind of give background on that. So Ian and the other person on our team, they previously worked on Saber, which was originally called Stable Swap, as a project in the first Solana hackathon. So that was like back end of last year, like I think November. And they ended up actually winning that hackathon. But just because like Solana ecosystem was so much newer back then, decided to go through with it. And then kind of fast forward into like earlier this year, I got involved with Solana working actually with Metaplex. So I wanted to kind of get into NFTs. I heard a lot about Solana, and so yeah, I started working on that chain, working on some projects. And yeah, kind of like very like soon into working on Metaplex, I realized like how big of an opportunity there is right now in Solana. I think just based off the speed, based off like the kind of partners they already have in the ecosystem, kind of everything about it just like seems like a very like very good time to build on this chain and kind of like build out this new decentralized finance future. So yeah, I chatted with Ian and our other team member. Basically decided to like get Stable Swap back off the ground. We decided to rename to Saber, and yeah, here we are now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And did I get that right? That you guys are brothers? Is that what you just said?
Yep, that's correct.
That's awesome, man. I haven't met too many projects like that. So that's pretty cool. How has that aspect been? Do you think that has actually helped, you guys get Saber off the ground and kind of build a pretty successful product relatively quickly? Seems like it'd be a pretty cool thing to have a sibling, working full time in crypto together.
Yeah, for sure. I think it works out well because you and I have like very complementary skills.
Hmm.
And yeah, we kind of like end up like honestly always like working each other in some way. Just so happens. So like Ian is like full on kind of the engineering side, whereas my background's more in like design and product management. So yeah, it definitely works well for building products.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I love Metaplex as well. I'm actually going to be co-hosting their new podcast with the guy from Pixel Dudes. So it's kind of a first time I've said that publicly, but yeah, we're going to be rolling out that podcast pretty soon. So it should be pretty cool. Love the Metaplex guys, and I think what they're doing with NFTs is really awesome.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely have been super excited to see like how much adoption like Metaplex and just NFTs in general and Solana have gotten over the past like month or two. Definitely think it's a very good like way to kind of get people who have been looking at Solana kind of like into the chain.
Yeah, definitely. And so before we get into Saber, have you guys actually been kind of like participating in these NFT drops and stuff with like the DG and apes and all of these things? It's been pretty wild.
Yeah, I've been mostly an observer. I did though try to get into the DJ and Ape one, and yeah, I think I missed out on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was crazy though. Like the hype around it was pretty insane. It's like to me, it's like comparable to some like the bigger like Ethereum launches.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely reminded me of some of the bigger launches, and I think it was a good test for Solana. In NFTs, just kind of like the first big wave of hype and momentum behind an NFT project. And so, I'm glad that everything ended up working out. It had some issues, but I think those kind of growing pains are something that projects need to face early on so that they can be prepared in the future. So yeah, like, and you know, Saber has grown really quick. I think you guys launched on June 1st, if I read that correctly.
Yep, I think so.
And you guys have racked up like basically what, $600 million in total value locked or something like that. What do you think has fueled this kind of insane growth that you guys have had so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, I mean, a lot of it is because I think there already is a lot of investor interest in Solana. I mean, you see people like Alameda, obviously, you know, Jump has been getting pretty active in this space as well. Like, there's definitely like big like institutional players here. And I think a lot of it is just like waiting for products to be built that are of high quality. And so, you know, E and I have like a lot of experience building like projects before in crypto as well. And so, yeah, I think like being able to like get something that, you know, works well, like off the ground very fast. Yeah, like it, like I guess what I'm trying to say is like I think the capital is here for projects. It's just, you know, it's really on us as builders to kind of just like build. And I think like the Solana ecosystem will move very fast from here.
Yeah, to add to that, I would say there's two main things. One is that we focus a lot on polish. Like we want to make sure that when someone's using our platform, they feel like they're, you know, very comfortable with it. Like we want to make sure the UI is not janky or anything. But then the second thing I think that's a big thing is that our pools have zero impermanent loss, or at least they try to they're built for assets that have zero impermanent loss with each other. So with that, we're essentially trying to build something like a risk-free rate for crypto. Not saying that there's no risk here, but you know, basically your theoretical risk would just be like exposure to the two underlying assets, which are both stable coins. So it's basically just like free money if you just have like USDC or USDT lying around.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think impermanent loss is like a really important subject that, you know, maybe not everybody in DeFi, especially when they're first joining, they might not even realize that, you know, that's an actual thing. And I think it's definitely important to, you know, read all about impermanent loss before you actually start, you know, supplying liquidity and stuff to all these different protocols. And yeah, so Saber, are you guys mostly focused on stable coins, right?
No, we're actually focused on stable pairs. So
Stable pairs. Okay.
we have a lot of USD stablecoin activity right now because that's what we can do. But our big vision is to basically be this cross-chain liquidity like aggregator or swap, where basically if you're trying to bridge, let's say between like Avalanche Bitcoin to Ethereum Bitcoin, you could use Saber to basically swap from Avalanche into you know, whatever the Solana Bitcoin is, then from the Solana Bitcoin into Ethereum with as little slippage as possible. But we're basically just trying to list any possible asset that someone might want to bridge or someone might have multiple representations of. I think the same also goes for any sort of synthetic asset. So if someone's making like a synthetic ETH or the synthetic anything, we should be able to track that index and make it so people can get liquidity for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you mind touching kind of like on your philosophy kind of behind developing cross-chain compatibility? Like how do you prioritize one chain over the other? Is it mostly just like from user demand, or like just how do you guys think about, you know, cross-chain compatibility in an overall sense?
Yeah, so we're not directly building any cross-chain capabilities. So what we're, I guess, prioritizing is specific bridges, but it's relatively straightforward for us to list new assets. We're just looking for bridges that seem like secure and have decent interfaces. And we'll basically just add them once they're looking to get some liquidity.
Gotcha. So are any of the cross-chain, you know, features available like right now? I know a wormhole for the Solana and Ethereum bridge has, you know, been getting a little bit of momentum lately. Is that,
Mhm.
are you
Yeah.
guys have any actual cross-chain features currently available to users?
Yeah, we do. So we support Ren assets, I believe Ren Luna and Ren Bitcoin.
Mhm.
And we support several wormhole assets. So I think we do have some sort of Bitcoin bridged over from Ethereum. Yeah, but we're looking to expand that once bridges become more developed and we have a lot more assets we can bridge over onto Solana.
Mhm.
Yeah, and to add to that as well, we've also been like engaging with this project called Allbridge. So they're really focused on Polygon and Solana right now. And so we launched with them like a Polygon USDT pool, I think last week. And I think by the time that this podcast airs, we'll also be launching Polygon USDC, and then also this like token called Mai, which is essentially it's pretty similar to like Maker and Dai on Ethereum, but for Polygon.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Polygon definitely has a lot of momentum as well right now. It's pretty interesting to see just the overall usage of layer ones and layer twos and kind of how people are thinking about these different topics. So yeah, and one thing that you guys have put out some research on, I think it might be the only official Saber research piece that you guys have, if I'm not mistaken, but it touches on automated market makers versus something like a central limit order book, which, Serum, if anybody is up to date with the Solana ecosystem, Serum is like the main central limit order book project right now, and there are a couple different AMMs out there. Do you guys mind touching on the difference between those two and kind of what your research found?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess the primary difference between AMMs and central limit order books is that AMMs are usually represented by some sort of token. And what that does is it basically unlocks liquidity, in that with a central limit order book, if you have USDC and USDT on an exchange, on an order book, right, then those tokens are basically locked up and you can't really do anything else with them. Versus if you have a token that represents USDC and USDT, like paired with each other, you can go ahead and use that as a stablecoin itself that earns extra interest because maybe it's taken to Saber, and on top of that, it gets swap fees. But you can use that as like very good collateral for lending, for example. But with that, they're really two different things. One is a asset that you can use in other places, and one is something that just lets people find the best price. But if you already know what the price of the two assets should be, which is it's always going to be one on Saber, then theoretically, AMMs make a lot more sense for these kinds of assets or these kinds of pairs.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think both kind of methods have their use case for specific things. So it's going to be interesting to see how that grows, and if the central limit order book becomes like the stable method on Solana, or if AMMs are going to pretty much just like rise up. I think that like, what do you think about other chains trying to copy over the central limit order book? Have you seen that from some of the faster chains like maybe Avalanche or Cosmos or anything yet?
I haven't looked too deeply into what other chains are doing, but to my knowledge, Solana is faster than both of those chains.
Yeah.
But I do think central limit order books make a lot of sense for anything that's not like assets where you already know what the price should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's just a lot more like capital efficient, because market makers will put the bids and asks at spots where they're actually going to be filled by other people, rather than on an AMM, you'll have liquidity just being put in places that shouldn't be put.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, it's really exciting right now in the Solana ecosystem, specifically with DeFi. I think, that's kind of where Solana shines, considering, how fast and how cheap it is. I mean, for most people, coming from Ethereum and, paying, sometimes even thousands of dollars for transactions, which is just absolutely insane at the peaks of, hype and momentum, and, regularly getting $100 transaction fees on, even like transfer values that aren't even $100. I was looking a while ago, and basically somebody was trying to, swap like ETH for Shiba or something like that, and there was like a $9 transaction value, and they were willing to pay like $250 in ETH gas fees. So I'm just like, what is going on? Like, these kind of outrageous fees don't make any kind of sense to me. And I just think that, Solana DeFi is really opening up the door for like anybody to participate, because, you can try out some of these products on Solana and, try out different DeFi protocols, and you don't really have to worry about fees or transaction times. Like by the time process your transaction, you look away, look back at your screen, and your money's already showed up. So I just think it's really awesome to see kind of these products being built right now. And so
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. Yeah, I think to kind of add to that, like one underrated thing I see because of that effect is that like it greatly lowers the amount of activation energy like required for someone to switch over to like something else. And so because of that, I think like Solana will see like much more rapid innovation compared to something like Ethereum, where it's like, if you basically have like all of your money in like Compound or something, like the amount of like transaction fees and just like time in general it takes to move it from there might not be worth to some user to try out some like new application. And so yeah, I think the pace of like innovation in Solana is just going to be like really fast.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think they just announced a new hackathon today, actually. So, or maybe they were just teasing it. I don't know if it's actually going to be a hackathon, so maybe I should double check on that. But as far as I know, I think it's going to be one. It's going to be really cool to see the products and, projects that come out of there. I think Solana is really cool in the fact that these hackathons have really brought together so many different people, whether they are, marketers, biz dev people, engineers, developers, really all can just get together at one, like one time and just kind of compete for, those grand prizes, whether that be grants or, just ecosystem support and stuff like that. So I think it's really awesome. And you guys said that you were in the first hackathon, right?
Yeah, we were. That's a big reason why we decided to build in Solana, actually. The hackathon basically provided us with a lot of materials to get us off the ground. And yeah, they had developers there just helping us build everything out.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that a lot. And I'm probably going to actually help build out a product for the new hackathon. So it should be interesting to see how that
Oh, that's
process
awesome.
goes. So yeah, do you mind kind of talking about, you might have already touched on it a little bit, but why did you actually build on Solana versus going with a different chain? And, with it going with a relatively new chain like Solana, are there any, major roadblocks or issues, whether that be, dev tooling, UX, etc., that you kind of ran into while building on Solana?
Yeah, for sure. So just some backstory. Basically, when we did that hackathon, we built everything out and we decided to build in Solana for that because we basically just wanted to learn Rust and learn about how Solana works. But we actually didn't really develop what was called StableSwap at the time any further until April because the dev tooling was not quite there yet. But sometime in early of this year, Serum or Armani released Anchor, which made it a lot easier to build Solana programs. It reduced the amount of code you need to write by about 90%. But because of that, we came back to the Solana ecosystem. And on top of that, SBF and just market makers in general are on Solana. So it's really easy to get capital on there. So we thought that if we built something on Solana, it would probably do well. Or it would be used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. And I definitely big shout out to Armani. I talk to him pretty regularly and really appreciative of Anchor and all the work that he's done for Serum and Solana. And I just really love the idea of, open source projects and people sharing code and all of that to really just help out the ecosystem. I feel like in the Solana ecosystem, you see a lot of that where people are, willing to help out and build out the tooling early. Why, some other chains, it seems like a lot of other chains aren't as interconnected between projects. Like if you look at them, it's like a lot of different projects competing for things. And I just get a totally different vibe in the Solana ecosystem. I don't know if you
I agree.
feel that same way, but
I definitely feel it. And I think the main reason for that is because other chains are EVM compatible. What EVM actually does is it encourages people that are not maybe as technical or as like committed to copy and paste code from like some existing Ethereum project. And since the barrier to entry for that is so low, you just see a lot more projects, but those projects don't necessarily work with each other because they're all basically using the same code and they didn't really do anything to integrate with other people. But on Solana, everyone's building from scratch, and everyone has the same like early stage blockchain problems. So you just see a lot more cooperation here.
Yeah, I think that's a good point with the EVM compatibility. I think, yeah, like what Anatoly says about, eating glass to have to, build up a project, learn. Most people are learning Rust for the first time, to build on Solana. And I think kind of that barrier to entry where people actually have to put in a ton of effort, you just get higher quality projects and people that are, willing to put in the time and effort to build out something, of value rather than just copy and paste a popular, protocol or whatever on from a different chain. And so, yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
it's definitely interesting to see. Kind of like in my view, I think that like EVM plays a big role into kind of the exploits and hacks that we've seen lately, and like on a lot of chains that pop up with these kind of copy paste projects that don't necessarily have the technical ability to actually audit their code very well, which is like a terrible problem to have when you're building a crypto project. But yeah, it's just a little bit different on other chains to me. But
Yeah, and I agree. EVM causes hacks because one really interesting thing about Solana is that there's no concept of gas to pay for transactions. Basically, there's like a flat fee for every transaction you submit. So you're not like basically penalized for adding more like safety checks to your program. So like at Saber, we're doing things that would be really expensive to do in EVM. For example, just have like a big row of like 50 different checks checking if like certain balances like add up to a certain amount. But on Ethereum, like normally you would like optimize that out and do some like very weird math to make everything work out. And that's why you see a lot of Uniswap forks getting hacked because Uniswap v2 has a lot of like basically magic numbers in their code that are not documented to make the gas a lot lower. But that causes hacks with forks if people were not the original people building the code.
yeah, that's a good point. And so to kind of touch on Saber a little bit, you guys have the Saber token, right? The SBR token. Do you mind kind of walking through the use case of having that token as well as, diving into governance a little bit?
Yeah, so kind of moving forward with Saber, our vision really is for this to be a DAO, and so we want to like decentralize as soon as possible. I think the kind of like limiting factors for us has been just like Solana so early, and the kind of like governance infrastructure you see on a chain like Ethereum doesn't exist yet, and so we're having to build a lot of stuff from scratch, and also working with like the Solana Labs, Solana Foundation people too, with their implementations, and so yeah, kind of with the SBR token, like it really is meant for governance, and I think we kind of want to like leave it there, leave it pretty vague for the community to kind of decide like, what kind of happens with the SPR token and Saber protocol in general. Once we actually have the DAO and have like voting, voting live. And so, yeah, I think that's probably about like a 2-month away launch for us.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, I feel like governance in crypto is a really interesting topic, and I don't think many of these kind of governance questions really came up until crypto because like just giving people the ability to have more financial incentives and take control of the protocol and how things actually play out. That I really think that's a cool idea, and I just love the idea of having people or giving people more power to actually take control a little bit. So I like the idea of having that governance token to have the backing of the protocol and stuff.
Yeah, crypto is such a unique like place to work in. So like before like this startup, you and I worked at a fintech startup called Pipe, and like working on a crypto project is just so different from a startup perspective because like everything you're doing, even at the early stages, like just very open. And you have community members who have like a big vested interest in your project like from day one. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic. And honestly, like it's a lot of fun. Like just love being part of these kind of communities.
Yeah. Yeah, working in crypto is awesome. I've been in crypto since 2017, and I've been built a couple of projects myself, but have been working for a company called the Tie for about a year now, and now doing some work for Solana and Serum in terms of writing and research. So like I think things have really changed since I joined crypto, or as started working in crypto. I think people, some people join crypto and want to just trade or invest full time, but I think that you really start to open up a ton of doors once you get connected with all the teams and talk to people that are actually building projects and stuff like that. It's really awesome to see. And I think it's just so many different opportunities right now for people that want to build projects. Just I really recommend joining in on this next Solana hackathon, and even if you don't make it in the hackathon, just building a project out and trying to connect with the ecosystem is really your best bet at that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how many projects come onto Solana as well.
For sure. Yeah, very exciting time for Solana.
Yeah. So where do you guys kind of see Saber going over the next year or two? Are there any, major goals or milestones that you're looking to hit in terms of, whether those be numbers in TVL or, whether it be new features on the product or integrations or anything like that?
Yeah, I would say our main roadmap item is to get Saber as collateral in lending. Like I said earlier, like the difference between AMMs and central limit order books is the fact that these tokens are assets that could be used for other purposes. So we want to make sure people are using these assets for other purposes. And with that, theoretically, people would just put money to Saber instead of putting money into like USDC or USDT for collateral, which would just be a lot better for like the Solana ecosystem because you have more liquidity on that pair, but also for Saber. Other roadmap items, we Dylan, do you want to answer? I forgot my train of thought.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, from a meta perspective, like because Solana is so early right now, we see this like huge opportunity for Saber just to be integrated like literally everywhere. And like Ian was saying, like if you look at Ethereum, a lot of the kind of projects there are using USDC as a base or some like stable coin. But Saber LPs have this advantage where it's like you're basically holding a stable coin in terms of risk, in terms of like price risk, but this actually earns like yield from trading fees. And right now we also have like our Saber liquidity mining program, and we'll probably have like more like collaborations on liquidity mining. And so yeah, definitely I think like 90% of my time right now is just spent like trying to work with other projects, seeing how we can help like grow the ecosystem, and as part of that, seeing how like they can use Saber in their protocols. And yeah, definitely excited for kind of seeing how that plays out.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, definitely exciting to see the roadmap and how big you guys can get and grow Saber. I'm really interested in seeing more projects, building in the ecosystem that are focused on like data analytics and dashboards to track like active users and stuff per protocol. I think that'd be really cool to see. And yeah, but anyways, do you guys have anything, any tips for people that are, trying to make a career or really just do something that they're super passionate about? It seems like both of you guys, are passionate about crypto, and obviously two brothers that get to work together on a massive project seems pretty exciting. So do you have any tips for people that are wanting to build like you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, maybe specifically if they're trying to build like some crypto project, I mean, I think they should just go for it. I think a lot of people take a roundabout way where they try to work for someone else first to like learn, but I think it's actually better to just go for whatever project they want to go for. And the crypto community, especially the Solana community, is very helpful, and they will, I guess, take you through like help you out with these like the harder parts of the journey. In general, though, just pursuing any sort of goal, I think you should find a way to make the goal sustainable first. And as long as it's sustainable, and that like you could keep working on it without having to like do something else, then I think one should just pursue that goal directly and try to get where they want to be, and just believe that they could do it.
Yeah, definitely. Good point. Really just go for it. And, things have a way of working themselves out. So, really the worst you can do is try to build a product and not much progress. So it's not the worst case scenario, but yeah, guys. So, before we wrap this up, I had a quick question. Are you guys going to be out in Lisbon for the Solana event?
Yep. Yeah,
Will
we both
be.
will.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I should be out there as well. So we'll have to, meet up for some beers or something. Should definitely be a fun time for everybody in the ecosystem to meet up and, get to chat in person and stuff. It'll be real awesome. But
For sure. Yeah, I think we want to put
Yeah, let's
together
do
some
it.
kind of like Saber meetup as well. So definitely we'll give you the invite for that.
awesome. Yeah, it sounds good. And yeah, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming on and stuff. I don't know if there's any other, messages that you guys wanted to get out to, your fans or users or anything, but that's pretty much it on my end.
Yeah, I'd say definitely if you're building something in the Solana ecosystem, like feel free to reach out. Probably best places on our Discord, or DM me on Twitter. Like I said, like I'm pretty much spending all of my time just trying to help other projects grow, whether that's using Saber or not. So yeah, definitely reach out. It's a really, really good time to be building on Solana.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'll definitely, link Saber below, link you guys' Twitter's account and stuff like that. And, feel free to reach out to any of us if you guys need any help. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate you coming on and hopefully we have more conversations like this going forward.
Yeah, thanks for
Awesome.
having
Yeah,
us.
same here. Appreciate it.
Yep. See you guys.